Since the start of the pandemic, nobody in this country has done better for themselves than billionaires. And according to a new analysis from Americans for Tax Fairness, the top 10 billionaires here in the United States managed to gain $1 billion per day throughout the pandemic. And in case you're keeping track at home, that amounts to $12,600 per second that just 10 billionaires have made since March 2020. $12,600 per second. And millions of Americans are struggling to make ends meet. Millions of Americans are struggling to be able to go to the grocery store and afford milk and all of their other groceries that are watching their prices continue to skyrocket thanks to both hyperinflation and, of course, price gouging on behalf of everyone along that supply chain. Because that's the big culprit here. Reports have shown that about 60% of the price increase that we're seeing right now across the board is due to gouging. Not inflation, price gouging. You know, Elizabeth Warren has done a wonderful job in the Senate trying to take on these price gougers. It was called for answers from some of the biggest grocery stores in this country. Come talk to us, tell us why you're paying your CEOs millions of dollars, but you're raising prices for consumers at a rate far greater than what inflation actually is. But all of that really is pennies compared to what these billionaires have been pulling in. $12,600 per second, folks. What could you do with that money? Even if you only got it for a day, $12,600 per second. That is a life-changing amount of money. Even if you only got it for an hour or a half hour, that would dramatically change someone's life here in this country that is struggling to get by. And that is what these billionaires, 10 of them, have been making for almost 2 straight years on average. This system is unsustainable. When you have this much wealth, which most of it, for the record, is likely to be untaxed, but when you have this much wealth accumulating in the hands of 10 individuals, you are creating the recipe for disaster. You are creating a formula for civil unrest. And yes, there are legitimate mathematical equations that show what happens when you have so much wealth accumulation in such few individuals while the rest suffer. You know, this index is actually what it is, shows when a social revolution basically becomes imminent. And I feel like we're heading for that point right now. These billionaires do not care. They do not care that small businesses have closed their doors forever because of this pandemic. They do not care that millions of people lost their jobs, that they're still trying to find work, but they can't find gainful employment that's actually going to cover their bills. You know, have you ever thought for just a moment why we saw such major strikes taking place from October through now across this country, the rate at which we hadn't seen in decades? It's not because everybody suddenly looked at their paychecks and said, oh, wow, I'm sorry, I thought we were making more. No. This pandemic opened people's eyes. It opened their eyes to their own value within these corporations. It opened their eyes to their own mortality. And millions of people realized, I don't want to work for pennies and then die. I don't want this to be my life. I want to be able to make enough money to support my family, to stop having all these financial worries, hell, to maybe retire and relax one day. Because we don't know when that day's coming. And I don't want to go through spending my entire life being upset about money, so give us better treatment. That's what these strikes were about. That, I believe firmly, was the major catalyst of what happened there. It was more psychological than anything else. And it was long overdue. And when you look at stories like this and you see the amount of wealth being accumulated and hoarded at the top, It's hard to argue with the fact that workers should be earning more. When you're pulling in $12,600 per second and your workforce is still on food stamps, I can't imagine the kind of person that would look at that and say that that is an acceptable way to treat these workers. This is Hattie. Hattie wants to know why you have not subscribed to our channel. You obviously like our videos, so do us a favor and subscribe.